Like this surprise look. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. True Health, what's up? You live.
What's going on? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I didn't know that was your other name. You got a lot of aliases, man. Is that a next generation thing?
My headphones at.
Good morning, everybody. Praise the Lord.
Good morning. Good morning.
So this is the weekend before the week where people spend more money than all throughout the year. How y'all doing?
Hey, we doing
Grateful.
good.
We got a Cancer, a Pisces, and a Scorpio. It's a real ocean going on here. You gotta watch them Pisces. You know, the Scorpios, the crabs, we got the clamps and the sting, but them fish, ain't no telling who gonna show up.
Well, let me tell you now, them Pisces are some good folks now because they tend to know just how to smooth over the scorpions. They know how to avoid the sting.
Because they be strapped. Have you ever met a Pisces that didn't have a handgun?
Well, I don't know about all that now.
No. And they definitely got a knife. They usually got, the Scorpios, the ones with that little belt, got the little hook to go on the belt. They got it on the side. Kind of ones that dare the police to say something.
Oh, that's what we did?
Them Pisces. So look, we got $1.52 trillion in annual disposable income. And today, maybe more online than ever before, but a lot of money will get spent. And YouTube, Black women control most of those dollars. Black women determine who's going to get a Christmas gift or not.
Like, okay, you been good or bad?
We already know. You already know.
Facts.
You already know.
Michelle, can we have Christmas this year?
Yeah, I think we're all deserving of a little sprinkle of joy.
Okay. Let me get my camera set there. So, ladies, this is Devon Walker. And Devon, I got to tell you, everybody wants your game. He has the Black Wall Street game.
That's what we like to hear.
You going to plug it?
That's what we like to hear. Of course, I'm going to plug it. You know it. But every time I come, I also like to bring a guest with me. I like to share the West Coast energy and love with the East Coast. This is my lovely queen right here.
Yeah. We finally get to meet the queen. Hey, queen. The queen of LA.
Hello. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
Good
a little early for you, huh?
A little. Hold up now.
It's 7 o'clock.
7 on a Saturday, but we got you, King Lover. But yes, the board game Play Black Wall Street is built on the history and legacy of Tulsa's Black Wall Street. As you go around the board, you're able to buy historic businesses from that time. So Madam C.J. Walker Beauty Salon, Uncle Steve's Barbecue, Williams Dreamland, those businesses that existed. Kids and families are able to kind of get transported into that experience. And as you're going, you have a distinct decision that you need to make. When you land on Madam C.J. Walker Beauty Salon, you need to make the decision. Do you want to get your hair done real quick? Get a nice little lighten, maybe get a braid out, locks, whatever it is. Or do you want to own Madam C.J. Walker Beauty Salon? So the next person who lands on it, they pay you. Right. And then you can reinvest in your business from a sole proprietor to an LLC to a corporation and really teach that economic ownership and Powernomics that Dr. Claude Anderson talks about. So that's what the board game's all about. We've been rocking. We've been going since 2017. We took our first trip out to Tulsa last year. It was an amazing trip, and we're definitely going to make that a part of the rhythm, part of the culture. And we're very excited to be able to help talk about that $1.2 trillion in power, what we can do with that starting at a young age, plant those seeds at a young age so that when they grow up to be our age, it's automatic. It's a part of that culture. Right. But yeah, Got the queen here. She's on the health side of things. I'm on the economic health, and she is on the body mental health side.
Okay, so we're gonna ask the queen a couple of questions, but meanwhile, can you and Frank get off your camera? You can't touch your camera anymore. I know it's early in the morning. So Devon, can you type in any links? Anybody want any links? Just put it in the private chat. We'll copy and paste. Hello, Queen. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I am doing well. I'm doing pretty well. Got a pretty good night's sleep. And I can't complain. I can't complain. Had some Ethiopian food last night.
Yeah.
So you ate with your fingers?
Yes, we did the whole time. It's an experience, but we love it. We love it.
Do you like the injera?
We had to get we're on a little bit of a health regimen right now. So they had the gluten-free option. So we got the gluten-free injera, which it's not quite as soft, but it's still I'm just happy that they have an option for gluten-free so we can still enjoy this Ethiopian food while we're on our little health regimen here right now.
Yep. Talk about that health regimen and how you're helping folks do the same thing.
Yes. So I am the director of wellness for our umbrella company, True Health Forever. And so I'm a health coach. And so what I do with my clients and what we're doing for ourselves, right, being our first clients, is basically taking ourselves through kind of a 90-day journey where we are eliminating a lot of the things that are causing our body internal inflammation and internal stress. Because what that does is over time, it just really wears on the body. And then along with life stressors, the external stressors, can really just do a lot of damage to the body. About 70 to 90% of doctors' visits are for stress-related, ailments. So we don't realize how much stress is really, causing a ruckus in our lives, internally and externally. So that's really what we're trying to do, is trying to eliminate some of that internal stress. So we've been really off of, sugar, alcohol.
No alcohol, Donnie. Cut it out.
Gluten. Wow. And then the things that I took a food sensitivity test. We both took it. But I took a little bit more of a more hardcore one. It took I had to take a blood draw, and I got to find out what I was sensitive to. So what am I eating? And dairy, that was the other one that we were eliminating. What am I eating that my body, my blood is reacting negatively to? And things that I didn't know. So things that even when we were eating healthy, I was still eating soy. I was still eating wheat. And those were two of my top things that came up on my test that are apparently my body from the inside. So that was really enlightening to be able to know, like, okay, let me see what happens when I eliminate these things for a little bit and allow my body to heal from the inside. And so, I've been able to lose some weight, sleep better digestion. We've seen a lot of improvement in the last.
I'm down 25 pounds, Donnie. Listen.
Yep.
Get you right.
So that's a little bit about me and what I like to focus on. I like to help queens right now. I'm really on, helping them find health and achieve weight loss through that healing from the inside. So that's a little bit about me and what I like to do, as really help the queens just feel better, really trying to, I guess improving digestion is a big one, sleep better, and lose weight. Those are like, the things that I really like to help folks accomplish.
My big one is getting rid of toxic people. What about you, Michelle?
Well, let me tell you, when you get the button on doing that, you let me know, okay? Because sometimes, you have toxic people and you don't even know they're toxic until you have to be around them for a minute, So, hey, that comes and goes. Well, I want to thank you this morning for inviting me into the show. I really appreciate it. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Michelle Howard. I am now retired from the state of Maryland, and I am working in D.C. at the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority as their new director of small business programs. Now, as Donnie knows, I have been working with small business programs my entire career in the state of Maryland. And then I started doing it nationally because different states have different laws, regulation, and requirements when it comes to small business programs. Everybody knows about the DBE, Disadvantaged Business Program, Small Business Enterprise because those are federal programs, right? But what really tend to help the local businesses in different states are the smaller ones, like your minority business program or your small local business programs. They have those different types of titles. And so it's money there that's not being tapped into, that is non-federally related. And my thing is making sure that we connect small businesses to that type of money, and try to remove some of the barriers of them getting there. And those barriers tend to be policies, regulations that local, state, county, city governments have. And I look at them on a national basis, and I talk to folks on a national basis about what are we doing, or what can we do when we come together to change those types of things. So that's when you have to jump over into the politics, which I'm not a big fan of, but you jump into the politics and you have to get more involved in pushing that platform forward. So yeah.
Hey Frank, how are you? I muted you. Or I muted you because you was doing all of that moving around on the screen.
Look, man, you know me. My world is I have to make sure I'm.
And you know me, I will cut you quicker than a Baltimore speed camera.
Yeah, I have to make sure I look good. So, I just wanted to make sure my lighting was right and, everything was right.
Yeah, Professor.
After all, this was a last minute text.
Marcy, would you like to handle this one?
It's not my show.
Oh, handle it for me, Marcy. I'll be right back.
Boy, don't be playing with me. How y'all doing today?
Marcia, how are you? Happy holidays.
Great. Happy holidays to you all as well. So, this is small business time, and we're all trying to make it. Let's talk about maybe 3 things. If we could start with, why don't we start with you and talk about what are 3 things that you think small businesses, startups should have in order? Frank.
Well, me personally, what I think we lack, and especially a lot of, it's not like a lot of 15-year-olds, 17-year-olds that are, applying for business and creating new businesses, which are the threshold and the pulse of social media and the digital world. I think mainstream corporate is beginning to get out of the old ways of doing marketing and promoting business and growing business. And again, the millennials, they have it at the cusp of the digital world. I think we need to truly learn how to utilize new tools and the new ways of doing business to expand business and increase business a lot faster. To develop business a lot faster. It gives you a much more. Me and my wife have been sitting down for the past 2 to 3 months, just talking about, really getting a grasp on technology and businesses that are growing without, with minimal investments, but more in line with utilizing these new tools that can help us create businesses. We were looking at, well, I can't get into this. I have to do an NDA for everybody, and we obviously can't do that. But we're just looking at how to utilize technology in alignment with what's going on now. We did a search, Google search the other day on the top growing businesses. And, those are businesses where most of those businesses where people don't even need to move out of their homes anymore. They just get on their phones and they order what they want. And, look at the cab service, the local cab service. They've been overtaken by companies like Lyft, who really take very little risk, and they turn that risk over to the average person out there who wants to start a business, and they simply have a car. So now they can simply take that car, log onto this app and create a business. So now you're picking people up. You're a taxi service. It's called Lyft and Uber now. most of those businesses haven't learned to, someone called me about a couple of weeks ago and asked me, hey, Frank, so this taxi service is really trying to figure out how to market. They're really trying to figure out how to set their business because of companies like Uber and Lyft. And I told them they just simply need to change their mindset on their approach to their target-based audience, which is really still the same, except they're younger. And instead of them driving, they want to jump in a car. They want everything quick, fast, and hurry. You want your food. You don't even go to the market anymore. Me and my wife, I can't even remember the last time I've been to a grocery store to do shopping, because we just simply pull open an app, an Instacart, and order our food. It's just interesting. And she's vegan, so it's really strange to me because now I'm trying to get my new lifestyle adjusted to. So, I just think in business we need to learn to take advantage of our technology, really do our research. Because as I tell people in my world, which is the entertainment business, the playing field has leveled, because no longer do you really need major investment to create companies these days. Just imagine if you're a life coach, you can do it online, you can do it FaceTime now. You don't even need a brick and mortar. So my point is that I think, in new business, we need to really just learn how to expand our business in the new platform. That's obviously just a new lifestyle. It's the new norm after COVID. We were all locked in for 2 years. So we had to learn how to do things different without being out and being around people. So, I just strongly urge, companies that are doing new business to catch up with technology. Technology is vastly making old companies extinct. So we just need to learn a new way of technology. Donnie, an incredible
Frank, I'm going to share this excerpt with you from the State of Black Baltimore, 2012. It says the technology has become the great equalizer for many around the globe. In the last 15 years, many emerging countries have boosted their gross domestic product.
Donnie, I was about to make an example of, I always uplift you and what you've done on this platform, because, and if I can just have a very honest conversation, there was a time when, I used to talk to Donnie and we mentor each other, and he's been a big brother to me. But, he was trying to pull together his network and build his whole network and media network and so forth. And I said, Donnie, you got to go figure out technology. You got to go figure out how to stop waiting for people to do it, to not do it the way you want to get it done. You have to go out, you have to empower your mind, empower yourself, and learn and engulf yourself with this new technology. Look at where we are right now. I'm home. Most of you are probably home. This is his studio. And I don't know what you guys are logged into, but I'm on my iPhone. So I can walk around my house and have this interview. And my point
is okay, technology. Okay.
they listening. They see the power. They're like, nope, let's cut that power off real quick.
Yeah.
But I had a quick kind of follow-up to what he was saying. There's a really good book written by Steve Case. He's one of the visionaries behind AOL back in the day when that was one of the number one search engines and email domains, right? But he wrote a book called The Third Wave, and it talks about the third wave of the internet. Literally everything that Frank was saying, like, is talked about in that book that was written years ago. As for small businesses looking to, build the future, definitely look at what the trends of the internet are doing, what blockchain technology is doing, what NFTs are doing, because our kids, that's going to be the economy that they're going to operate on mainly. So we can build a business model that's for the future. We now can give them a successful business model, and they don't need to basically do that work when they're trying to do what we're doing right now. One smaller thing that I want to add for what small business is doing is really focusing in on that customer experience.
Yes.
Right. That's what Amazon did, right? They started off as, just an online bookstore, but when I think they took off when they really did that 2-day shipping, because they understood that the customer wants their stuff fast. They understood how to build in algorithms to make sure that the customer sees the different things that they want to buy. They're sending these follow-up emails and follow-up texts. They're sending you shipping updates because they understand the customer wants their stuff. They may be insecure about when it's coming. So they really zoomed in on customer experience. Same thing with Uber, same thing with Instacart. They know people don't want to leave, so they're trying to figure out how can they give the customer convenience. And I think sometimes as small businesses, we think, and I'm guilty of it too, like we think of our experience, like how can I make my job easier, right? How can I make my profit? But the profit really comes from when you remove yourself and you think, what will my customer truly value in this restaurant experience, in this online media experience, in this healthcare experience, whatever it is. So I urge everybody during this maybe 2-week lull during the holidays to really sit down and meditate on what do my customers need and what do they want.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. That customer experience is important because it says whether or not if we're going to spend our money there, right? We're going to go back. Right. We might go initially and see, like, hey, I just want to check this out, buy a little thing, see how the store is or what have you, whether online or in person. And it's about the experience and, that we receive. And that determines whether or not if we will spend there again. Going back to the question that Marsha asked us, I'm a traditionalist when it comes to, the business types. I have helped many entrepreneurs and participated, in some teaching, coaching things dealing with entrepreneurs. And, the first thing that you have to know is you have to know clearly in your mind, what is your business plan? I don't care where you starting at, how you starting it, you still need to have a plan, right? Because you jump out there. I have seen companies and they get excited and they'll say, I got a contract with such and such, and and I'm like, oh my goodness. And so then it's like, okay, so who's doing your administrative work while you're performing the labor, right? Because I've met most people when they start their businesses, they are the labor, right? So the thing is, so who's taking care of the administrative work? Who's, checking the books, and who's, doing all these things? Who's doing the invoice, and who's making sure, and that's the struggle, because trust comes into a factor of, okay, as the laborer, I can't balance all of that, right? I do need some type of assistance or help from somewhere. And then it comes into, so who do I trust with my business information?
I'm glad you asked that question. Attorney Robert DeShields. That's who we trust.
Hi, Mr. DeShields. How are you doing?
Oh, you muted there, Mr. DeShields. You're muted.
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. It's good
You
to
stay
see you.
shopping, Mr. DeShields. Every time I turn around, you got some new gear on. Where did you get that shirt?
Yeah, our friend Terrence gave it to me about a month ago. And it's probably only the second time I've worn it. But if you like it, I'll wear it every day this week.
Okay, I thought you were going to say you had one for me. How you doing?
I feel pretty good. Let me, I've been listening for a while to the comments, but there's an area that I focus on, that I have to focus on, that frequently avoids attention, and that is the extent to which people in the agencies which regulate many of the small businesses take steps or do things that encourage or discourage creation of business. And oftentimes we're talking about businesses where there's no glitz and glamour or that sort of thing. But in the last 2 months, for example, I've seen a state regulatory agency without cause revoke or suspend the license of a business operator who'd been in a daycare center that had been operating for 20 years with an unblemished record, with not a single violation, without a single, because they can do it, because they have the power to do it. I've seen in the last 2 months a regulatory agency deny a license to operate a cosmetology school to a lady who's been practicing for 35, who's been a senior cosmetologist for 35 years, owns a building, owns the equipment, has the bonding, has the capital, because somebody on the commission didn't like the questions she was going to be asking the applicants to her school. At this level, and these types of things are unnoticed and unknown. These are things down in that, in other words, the profiling, if you will, that we all focus on, and police actions are, profiling occurs across the board.
Yes.
When Black business applies for permits, when Black business owners apply for licenses, there's a different standard. There's a presumption that we don't know what we're doing. There's a presumption that we can't do it. There's a presumption that we're entering a field that we shouldn't be in unless we're doing it under the guidance and supervision of somebody white. That's what I face every day. But it goes, as I say, it goes unnoticed and untold, because these are not the glamour, these are not big IT companies, and they're not, they're not Under Armour or Uber. These are businesses that have been operating in what we call the cottage industries for years.
So how do we deal with that? What is it that we need to be doing? I mean, it can't just go unnoticed. And I know that there's some legal requirements that need to be had as an attorney that you're dealing with. But the other thing that needs to happen is the Black community really needs to understand and step up. This is not a game. This is people's livelihoods. And I'm sick and tired of hearing this foolishness that's going on. And we've got all these people, these elected officials that are local, state, and federal people. We need to make certain that we're doing what we need to do to change that dynamic. And I'm tired of it. I don't know if we've got all these chambers, we've got all these different organizations. At some point, we all need to unite and have a united front to deal with these issues, period. I'm tired of these games.
Yeah. Here's the problem, Marsha. Here's the problem that I see. It's all about relationship, or it ain't about nothing.
Yeah, right? But I'm sick and tired. But not everybody has the ability to get the access for the relationships.
You got to hear me. You got to hear me.
I hear you.
Listen to me. The problem is, when it comes time to appoint people to the boards and commissions that do the things that I'm talking about, we exercise no discretion. When the elected politicians decide, I'm going to appoint the chair of the zoning board, and is Black, we don't care whether it's anybody Black that knows anything about zoning. We don't care if it's anybody Black who knows anything about the struggles that Black businesses have in getting zoning variances or approvals. All we care about, there's somebody Black on the board.
Yeah, but not everybody is Black, it's Black folks.
That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. What I'm telling you is we don't participate as a people in the process of selecting the people who are govern the things that we're engaged in. We accept the definition of being Black that white folk give us, which is simply the color of our skin.
Right.
That's our problem.
So all these different organizations, you got the minority this, the minority that, the Black this, the Black that, you got all these organizations. Why aren't we all working together? Because we all have the same problem. We're all having to fight to get that little bit. We look at all these people coming into Baltimore. They're buying up all these properties. You got people buying up all these industrial parks, creating. I mean, look at what's his name over there, bought up, created a whole town. Port Covington is a whole city.
Yes,
in the city of Baltimore, and ain't nobody saying nothing. They just happy, just happy. Let's just be happy, and maybe I can go over there and get something good to eat or some foolishness. When are we going to sit down as a people? When we vote, we don't put the right people in. We don't even sit down and attend all of the different city town halls to meet the people and ask the people the real hard questions. What are you going to do? How are you going to change it? And then we're not sitting there saying, if you're not doing a job, have we ever done a report card on who's doing what and why? All these people down in Annapolis, are they doing what they're supposed to do? All these people that are over in DC, are they doing what they're supposed to do? All these people that are sitting here coming out of all these different chambers and city council, are they doing what they're supposed to do? Have we really sat down and looked at what they're doing, what we need in a city that's majority Black to change it?
We don't train our own people. We don't train our own leaders. We don't train our people to take these positions. And most importantly, we still believe as a people that white folks' ice is colder.
Not everybody.
Look, let me tell you, look,
I got my own ice. I ain't playing with them people.
You may have your own ice, but you are an individual. We don't have a process. We don't have a Black Leadership Institute. We don't have a process where we begin to take our young people and we train them to occupy these positions at a later time. We wait. Unfortunately, we recognize our leaders only after they've been selected by other people, only after they've been anointed by other people.
So look, I want to segue to a couple of new people who have joined us. We have Brittany Hector, and she's an emerging entrepreneur. Brittany, I'm eager, and welcome Mark Polite, my dear friend from Harlem, New York. What's up, Harlem?
Morning.
Brittany, as we're talking about what's happening in the state of business, what do you see? I think you and Devon and his wife, clearly you're next generation leaders. What is it that you need from us older folk?
Can't hear you, baby. Turn up your
volume.
I'm sorry. Beautiful day, everyone.
Beautiful day.
As a young entrepreneur, I feel as though the elders should be more supportive. Not trying to say that elders aren't supportive in its entirety, but there's a serious gap between elders and the youth generation. It's like there doesn't want to be a fuse between trying to understand each other's viewpoints. I feel as though I'm 33 years old, so I love elder support. Like Donnie Glover is a very big support of me, and he took the time to really understand where I feel like there's such a difference between the two age gaps. It's hard for that to be respected. So I just believe that to move forward, you need to just take a little bit of time to step outside of your own groups and see what the youth is doing, because the youth is doing a lot of things when it comes to the Black business.
Yes. You guys have been amazing. I always say the millennials of the group have been amazing, but you are so correct when you talk about that gap, because it exists not just with small, businesses, young businesses as yourself, but it exists in the workplace. Right? It is a big gap in the workplace. I have taken like several classes and things of that sort of how do you close that gap? How do you bring it together? How do you educate each other on the opposite, right? How do you educate so that you know how to work together? How do you educate so that the gap gets all the way shut close? And you have to be open-minded just to do that.
Absolutely.
You have to be willing, and open-minded about it, because it's not easy. Because what you said was, and I heard in my way, the respect has to be there as well, right?
Absolutely.
For both groups. It has to be respect for both groups in order for you to open up your mind to receive the information to support the millennial businesses. Because it's a totally different mindset. If you come up from a traditional business mindset, it's going to be totally different. Going back to the technology conversation, right? It's education to be won by both sides.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if I can sprinkle, sorry, you still going? Go ahead, get that wisdom.
Go right ahead.
So I think we have a lot of value to add to each other, right? I feel like the older generation, like some of the stories that y'all have, like the story that Donnie comes on here and he'll have people say, or the stories that I know my grandparents have and just some of my elders and mentors from the civil rights movement are just so rich, and that grassroots experience, and that how to connect with people, how to really connect the power of the people. I feel like the older generation did that really well, face to face, person to person. Whereas our generation, we are really good at technology, digitizing things, and that innovation. But I think you need both, right? If you can have a grassroots approach to your business, but while at the same time you have a viral campaign, you're going to see exponential growth. If you're able to capture the story of the previous generation, you now can prepare for what's going to happen for the next generation, because things are cyclical, right? So I think We really need that fusion of getting both the wisdom. Next thing, one of the biggest industries, I know y'all know this, one of the biggest industries coming up is going to be taking care of the elder generation, right?
Yes.
Unfortunately, that again is a part of the cycle. So healthcare, assisted living, just taking care of making sure that our grandparents, our great great grandparents are comfortable in their transition is going to be another huge industry. And I think it's up to us as the Black generation coming up to make sure that we have businesses set up in order to take care of those folks. If we don't take care of them, where are they going to go? All right, who's going to take care of them? Who are going to be the nurses that are in their homes? What assisted living real estate companies are going to be taking care of them? That's not necessarily my passion, so I'm not going to start those businesses per se. But I feel like if that's the passion of other young folks out there to take care of the elders and be in healthcare, it is going to be a huge industry, and already is a huge industry to be in.
Yeah.
Okay. Mark Polite, welcome. All the way from New York City.
Thank you.
Where's
Thank
your book?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't have it with me, but I'm just here listening to the conversation and just soaking everything in, and just I hear everybody talking about the need to connect both generations, and that's something that I definitely see a need to continue, because as we all go through life at our different stages and everything, we just need to not be so cut off from one another, because like there's things that like being 22 in 2021 is different than being 22 in 1986. So you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's a completely different ball game out here. So, but the knowledge from from the elders and everything, has to be passed down to people, like the pass baton and everything. So, yeah, I'm all for it. This conversation needs to be had, and we need to break through the the downsides of ageism, and because you're under 30 you don't know what you're talking about, and because I'm 20 years older than you, then I can always son you and tell you what to do. Things are too critical for all that right now.
That's right. That's
critical.
right.
So I have a question for you, Mark. You're in Harlem, right?
Yes, I am.
So Harlem, the mecca of Black businesses, right? How is Harlem working now? How are Black businesses functioning? I know there was a major thrust of a lot of the old folks are gone. The businesses are gone. Are they being replaced by Black businesses, or are we getting a lot from downtown coming uptown?
Well, unfortunately, what's happening at this moment is a situation where big bank takes little bank. There's a Whole Foods on 125th Street. There's all kinds of things like Marshalls. There's there's all kinds of big box stores coming. I mean, they even talk about putting a Trader Joe's sometime in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing about it, Black businesses in Harlem are just kind of holding on, holding on for dear life. I mean, luckily, you have the mainstays. You have the Black restaurants. You have the Sylvia's. You have, places like that. You have, luckily, you still have Sisters Uptown Bookstore. The pretty much the last Black owned bookstore in all, not only
is that
all,
Human?
all
Is
Manhattan.
that Human or a different one?
No, Human
It's
closed
gone,
like
right?
a decade ago.
Yeah.
Sisters Uptown Bookstore on 150th
Okay.
Street and Amsterdam Avenue is the last Black owned bookstore in Harlem, period.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's because the community supports the bookstore and everything. And Jennifer Wilson, the owner, is also very open about embracing the community and making that place a hub, for discussion and literature and everything. So, but unfortunately, what's really going on is that Black businesses are not getting the capital infusion they really need to survive. So, it's kind of relied on community support, whereas like a Foot Locker can just come in and just set up shop like it's nothing, and that's the that's unfortunately one of the side effects of gentrification. You know, when you open the community wide open to businesses and to big corporations, to the point where your average regular working Joe can't live in the community anymore. So
Right.
I wish I could tell you something better, but
It's huge.
with 2021 going to 2022, this is what the situation is. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
We have Tasmir with us. This is typically Tasmir's hour, and the youngest member of the BlackUSA.News family, Elijah. And in 2 years, his show will begin.
Yeah.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. I wanted to give some flavor to what we were talking about that's happening in Harlem, because I worked on 125th Street, so I can give some background information as to like why the Whole Foods is there and the Marshalls and the Burlington Co-Factory, because I was there when they came. One of the challenges was that a lot of Harlemites were already spending their money in those stores. When you go in and they ask you for your zip code, they were already going there. And there was a survey that was done probably like 10 years before I even started working at the Business Improvement District, and they said they wanted Whole Foods. So Whole Foods had all that information with the data and understood like what they were buying and their spending power. So that made it a lot easier when that real estate on the corner of Lenox became available for Whole Foods to snatch it up. So part of it is like the vision that the community sets for itself when they say like, we would love, like Black people always like to say, how come we don't have this? How come we don't have that? So then if you want it, you kind of giving up something else. And so when you aren't really strategic about what you're asking for, these are some of the things that you get. And then Harlem is like a very interesting place because you have all these back deals that are happening. So yeah, Whole Foods comes, but then a chamber might get broke off some money for help having Whole Foods there. They need that money because they need to pay salaries. So you have all this underlining things that's going on. And then they know that the community doesn't have that knowledge. So it's okay to like scream gentrification, but the same people that are screaming gentrification are also in the background helping to make that engine work. And just through the community to say like, hey, look what's happening to us, but they're also brokering deals at the same time. So that's why you have certain things like that happening. And when you don't have enough people in the community that's standing up saying, this is what we want, and we're not going to take that. When you think about the jobs that were supposed to happen, those jobs were already signed off to people's kids and grandkids and cousins and whoever. So the community didn't have any jobs for the regular people that saw these things happening, but they didn't know that those deals were in the work years and years prior to that. So it's really understanding the politics that go on 125th Street in particular.
And let me just say this because I was there and know they let those rents go up so high, we can't afford to hold them. And I lost my business on 124th and St. Nicholas because my rents went up so high. It was like pulling like guts out of my body. And there were so many of us. I wasn't there that long, but there were people that had been generational businesses had been there that were closing because they couldn't hold on either. And it brings me to tears because I went there wanting to be in a Black environment. And there were Black people that were destroying our Black businesses. And so we need to deal with that too. And it's horrible. It's just horrible. And we're talking about people who had been there before in the 30s. They were there when Harlem was Harlem, right? And all the beautiful history. And I went there specifically for that. And I need to be able to say that out loud. And it's painful. It's painful. I think I was in more pain for the people that I was celebrating than I was for my business because I hadn't been there that long. But you're talking about somebody's grandmother, great grandmother, uncle, intent 3, 4, 5 generations closing their businesses. And we allow it. We're not part of the decisions. We talk a lot of mess. We wear the designer clothes, but we're not handling our business and protecting our businesses.
And this is where the gap is, right? Because this is where the young and old need to come together and help to save those types of businesses. Okay, this is where that union needs to come from, because they are on the pulse. This young lady was able to tell us all about what took place, right? You're telling us about the history that was there and everything. Because if you put those two together, somebody's business could have been saved,
Right.
right?
Well,
If
tell
those
you,
two have been put
if I-
together,
real.
somebody's business would have
That's
been
real.
saved.
That's
If
real.
I-
And if there were enough people who were conscious enough to really look at who we are, at some point we have to really realize that all Black folks ain't kin folks.
Absolutely.
And we have to really be honest about who we are. Donnie did a book, something unapologetically Black,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? And that's real. It's
Yes.
real. And until we can look at ourselves and say, I'm a Black woman. Don't call me nothing else. Here's who I am. And yeah, you're wrong.
Mm.
Yeah, this is not right. Use our voice. We all have a voice. And until we start using our voice for our good, we're looking at Pennsylvania Avenue. How much investment is going to be in Pennsylvania Avenue, and how's that going to change? Look at North Avenue. What kind of investment are we going to make? And this is just Baltimore, but we're California. We're talking wherever else everybody is. We're talking about across this nation. What are we doing? How are we helping, and how are we empowering our businesses? How are we helping them grow? Are we going to Marshall's versus going to the corner and getting a dress off of the rack at a Black boutique? Where are we buying? Where are we
Brittany,
buying our dishes?
Brittany,
Where are
let
we,
me jump
you
in here.
know?
Brittany, your grandma was a well-known funeral director here in the city of Baltimore, and quite often, Mr. DeShields, the undertakers don't always make the money they're supposed to make, because instead of buying life insurance, Black people buying $500 pocketbooks and doing GoFundMe's for funerals. So Brittany, my question to you is, what obligation do we have to look out for? I won't even say less fortunate. I will say those of us who make poor decisions.
It's really, I tried so hard to stay present while I was listening, but I had so many ways to interject. Um, I feel as though there's an ignorance that lies with the youth Black community when it comes to Black business. To tag on to what all of you have mentioned, when it comes down to businesses and how they thrive, they're not going to go to the corner store to support a Black business because of the area that it sits in. Right now, I live in Pigtown. Pigtown is very littered with drugs, junkies, homelessness. That's where a couple of Black businesses are here, but nobody will frequent them because it's a lot of chaos that goes on over there. Also, you can't really support something that the masses will not support. We as a collective love Black business. We thrive in it. But that percentage is not as big as the percentage that would rather have a Foot Locker than a Black-owned shoe consignment shop. It's kind of sad, but at the same time, I really don't know how to bridge that, because it has to teach the youth to knock off the ignorance of their Black culture. A lot of youthful Black people do not want to hold on to their Black culture. Yeah, they'll wear Black Lives Matter t-shirts. Yeah, they'll go to the rally and things like that. But when it really matters to actually be present, support, clean, stop selling drugs, stop being chaos in that city, they're not willing to do that. They'll rather spend $500 on a Gucci bag versus spending $500 on a savings account. It's very sad, but to be honest, I really don't know how to bridge that gap, because when it comes to the elderly that knows a lot, that has been in the civil rights movement, that has been in all the reasons why Black Lives Matter should be rich, some of the youth do not listen.
Donnie, can I break in here for just a second? Because none of this is going to change as long as the median income of Black folk is 25% of what it is of white folks' median income. The fact is that we got to define what a Black business really is and what the benefit is to the community, or any business for that matter. And the fact of the matter is the value of business, period, Black, white, yellow, or green, is the opportunity to earn money for the people that work for it. It's wages. 99% of all people are whatever they accumulate during the course of their life, they're going to accumulate it as employees of somebody. So when I say talk about Black business, I'm not talking about how many Bentleys the owner can buy. I'm not talking about what floor of the penthouse their office is on. I'm talking about what jobs are they offering and at what salaries are they offering the people that work for them. And the fact of the matter is, because that's where the change has to come. That is where the change, none of this talk means any difference if you don't increase the wealth and the income. And how are you going to do it? Most people are going to do it if they do it at all through the money they earn as employees. We cannot change the situation getting $15 an hour jobs. We cannot change the situation for minimum wages. We cannot change the situation by getting people jobs in hotels in the hospitality industry where they only work 30 hours a week for less. Look, the object of having a job is to be able to support your family. We got to keep our eye on the prize. We've lost control. We've lost our vision as a people. The reason why older people sometimes can't pass the baton to the next generation is because they're too busy still running themselves. In order to pass the baton, you got to be able to slow down.
Yeah.
You can't slow down if you're still running yourself, trying to make your own, earn enough money to support your own family. And most Black people I know are not buying $500 Gucci bags. Let's stop that now. Let's stop categorizing up people in that way. Most people I know are struggling to buy food and to pay rent and to pay mortgages. That's what they're doing every day. Every day. And that's not going to change until we change the income. And how do we change that? Look, I can't catch you if you're running ahead of me as fast as I'm running. Let's be real about that. Wealth is transferred from generation to generation, unearned wealth through inheritance.
Let me just jump in here. Mr. and Mrs. Walker, you demonstrate something that I think we've often overlooked, the significance of being married. What role does that play in the wealth game?
Oh, man. All right.
Talked about this.
We did just talk about this. Queen, you want to make any points before I go all the way in?
We just actually talked about this on our podcast, and about how the benefits and some struggles, but largely about the benefits of starting a business as a married couple, because there's just a lot of power in that, and that the king stance is that every married couple should have a business, and because that will help increase the income. Your side hustle, whatever, can grow into something that supports your family, gets you closer to that financial freedom,
reduces
so
tax burden,
all of that. That's all I wanted to say. I'll pass it to you now.
So first off, I want to say shout out to Rondi in here, giving all the love in the chat. Much love, brother Rondi. But yes, I believe wholeheartedly every married couple should have a business, because I love what the king just said. It's about the next generation. Right. And I think there's a different type of care and vision when a married couple is building a business and they know where I want my kids to inherit the business and I want them to run the business. The queen thinks it should be a choice. I don't think it should be a choice. I think if we put our blood, sweat, tears, equity into building this $1 million board game business, this $1 million healthcare business and health brand, our kids should want and have no choice but to take it on. Right. So we're putting things in place. We just got our whole life insurance to make sure that they're set up with that influence of cash as soon as we leave. We're setting up our will next year and our trust to make sure that everything's handed to them so the next generation doesn't have to go through what we went through. And that's the point that I kind of wanted to go in on a little bit. Is the unfortunate reality is it took us 400, 500 years to get to the point that we're in right now. Right. Yes. Before the 1619, we were living in Africa. Before, we were living in the Caribbean, South America, all over the world. And we had a different reality. But in America, it took America and our ancestors about 400, 500 years to get to where we are today. It's going to take some time for us to undo that stuff. So unfortunately, everything that we're doing right now isn't for us, right? The businesses that we're building isn't for us. The policies that we're doing, the land that some of us are going to buy isn't so that we can live. It's so that young right there on the camera, right? That young King Elijah, so he can have a better life. So Elijah's kids can have a better life. And I think some people are still running, like he said, their race. They're trying to spend their money now so that they can live, and they're not worried about what's going to happen a few years from now or 20 years from now. That's why I love Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson. I know most of y'all have probably read this. If you haven't, pick it up. Powernomics, Dr. Claude Anderson. He talks about his 12 steps to build an empowerment culture for our folks, right? It's about our culture. Our culture was stripped and dismantled in 1619. We had an empowerment culture before this, right? Malefia Santi talks about Afrocentricity. It's a way of thinking. It's a psychology that centers the Black people and puts us at the center, at the most valuable. And I think we need to get back to that Afrocentricity thinking, or that Powernomics empowerment culture, in order for that next generation or that next generation to really be where we envision them being. I'm gonna stop because there's a lot of great points, but that's
I'd like to bring up something. I'm a Christian, and the Bible says, where there is no vision, the people perish.
There we go.
And so when we sit down and look at where we are today and what we need to be doing, we need to be working together in order for all of this to work harmoniously for our own our own community, period. And I'm unapologetic as well. If we don't do it, nobody else going to do it. So who's going to do it? Who's going to change it? We look at all of these young people, and I'm just proud of you all. And you see it. But the elders and young people and anything in between, we need to be working together and listening and hearing one another. We need to hear one another. You know, it's that sage advice that we need. You need your history. You got to go back and get your history to be able to see the future. That's St. Kelfer bird. You got to know your history to see your future and how you're going to function in it. And if we keep ignoring our history, we will continue to perish.
Tasmir, what about marriage in your life? How's that for business?
Well, I think it might be a little bit different for me because we don't have a business together. We have individual companies because I had my business before I even got married. But I feel like a lot of us talk about legacy businesses and we don't know what that word means, right? So I think that we usually are talking about legacy and not really setting anything up to be passed down in any real way. So I know my husband's not going to take over my business. We've already had that discussion. If I got hit by a bus tomorrow, that ain't happening. So I've already started putting plans together as far as what I would want to happen. And I think we have to have those real truths and have those really real conversations, because we think that our spouse or our family members or our children are going to want to pick up the business. But for them, it might be easier to sell because they might not have been part of it. They might not have been making those decisions. They might not have seen the blood, the sweat, the tears, the aggravation, the agony, or any of that. So for them, if somebody's going to give them $2 million, they might say, like, I'll take the $2 million and I'm going to go do what I want to do. So it's also like having those real conversations and understanding that reality is also part of the mix here. So I kind of like face that with my husband and understanding our cultures are also different. He's African. He's from the Ivory Coast. So what he thinks about America and my experience with America is not the same. So understanding that we have different ways that we think, but how are we still going to leave something for our children, right? And so like that's part of why I always have Elijah with me, because I believe that me teaching him right now is going to hopefully seep into him that maybe he might want to think about entrepreneurship being part of a conversation. But I think that goes to a lot of the things that we study in school. if we think all our learning comes from going to school, I think our learning comes from our village. So I have taken the chance of building a strong village that knows more than I do about certain things that I can rely on. And also, what am I going to instill in him as success? Because I think we also instill that in people that we talk to, our own definitions of success. And that's why, people think that if I buy a Bentley, I'm successful. And they don't think that if I have a trust fund, Black folks say I can't afford a trust fund. And I think that we all can. It might not be as big as we would like it to be, but I think we can start from somewhere.
Mark Polite, my daddy was an undertaker, but I didn't want to be an undertaker.
Well, that's because you weren't trained to be one, and the value of being an undertaker wasn't impressed upon you. Our children learn from what they hear.
That's not true. I don't like the smell of dead bodies.
Our children learn from what they hear, but they learn more from what they see. They learn from what they hear us say, but they learn a lot more from what they see us do.
Well, I like being in business, but I just didn't like the smell of dead bodies.
I got it. I was going to be a doctor. I didn't like blood either. So here we go. But the fact is, if we I say this, we 80% of all the athletes in NCAA Division I schools are Black. Okay, 80%. The NCAA Division I makes more money than the NBA and the NFL combined. Those are our kids. We gave them birth. We fed them, we nurtured them, and then we put them on the modern day auction block. We call it the draft. That's what we call it, the draft. But that's all. It's just another auction block. It's another form of auction. It's the high end slavery block. That's all it is. But we got to control, Donnie. We've got to control the assets, the biggest asset and the most valuable asset that we will ever have, which is our children. And we don't do that. We give them up. We give them up to an education system that says a D is a passing grade. We give them up to a system that says you're more valuable to us if you have a degree and not a license that says you know how to do plumbing or to be a finished carpenter or to be the it's not good enough to be able to do something with your hands anymore. Everybody should go to college. When you come out, you owe so much money, you ain't no good to nobody because of the student debt. We got to redefine for ourselves, Donnie, what it means to be Black.
Our friends out in LA have to leave soon. You want to say anything before you go? And we thank you so much for getting up this early to tell us all about the family empire. We're so proud of you, Mr. and Mrs. Walker.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity. Again, go to playblackwallstreet.com, get yourself a board game. That way you and your families can be able to talk about these financial decisions while playing a fun game, right? I think sometimes we don't talk about finances because it feels so serious and it may be hard to talk about that with the 8-year-old, with the 15-year-old. But when you're playing a game that's literally built on ownership, when you're playing a game that's literally built on wealth, these conversations come up naturally because they want to win the game. Right. So it's not even about life. It's about winning the game. And if they can win the game, then they can win this game called life. Really quickly, I wanted to, say something about the NCAA and the fact that now our young ones, at least in California, can make money as college students. That is going to be a game changer, literally, all across the nation. That will be a game changer. So if we can teach them how to manage that money, how to get the whole life insurance, how to start the trust accounts, when they're in college, young, they can learn how to manage their money and they can literally set up their whole life for the rest when they're done, when they graduate. Read $40 Million Slave. It is another incredible book that's literally talking about the athletic system and how it kind of started within slavery and what it has grown into and transformed today through the NBA, through the NFL. Another beautiful book. Queen, anything you want to leave the folks with?
Yes, just we going into the new year. We got some free health coaching sessions available. So if you go to truehealthforever.com, it's where you can find a free health coaching session. So we ain't got health, we ain't got nothing else. We ain't got a business, we ain't got a family, we ain't got all that stuff. So health is the foundation as well.
I wanted to commend you on showing the rest of us how to talk to each other, how to talk to our spouse.
My pleasure.
Did you hear the language,
Yeah.
people? Hi, Queen. Yes, King. That's real. I mean, come on, Marsha. You know, because me and you call each other other names.
Yeah, but I ain't your queen.
Oh,
I didn't say that, Marsha.
Yeah, but you don't be.
I mean,
Don't even
Martin
be throwing all that in there.
bro. You trying to plant his seed. What's up about?
but you're still a queen. You may not be his queen, but you're still a queen.
There we go.
Big ups to you, Mr. and Mrs. Walker. Thank you. Brittany, any thoughts on that? Did you want to be a funeral director like your grandma?
No, but I felt kind of bad that nobody else did.
Well, my great nephew did get into business, so my dad is smiling, but he trained me to be a journalist.
See, it worked out.
How about you, Mark? Any thoughts on succession plan? You gonna make your daughter an author?
No, not necessarily, because you know, she's more into like video editing and that kind of stuff. So what's funny is that she actually like during the pandemic, she actually took over my YouTube page. Of course, you know, like I have to monitor it and everything, but she plays an online game called Roblox, and she does like, you know, little stuff with video editing and all that kind of stuff, and reaction and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, she's more of the kind of, you know, that kind of person where she's into, like, she might be making movies one day, you know, with all the skills she's learning. So I don't expect her to be a writer like me. You know, she doesn't have to do, you know, exactly what I do. But do I want her to go to college? Absolutely. You know, I expect her to go to college. So, you know, but in terms of career choice, no, as long as she has a plan, that's what's fine.
Okay, Mr. DeShields, I can see your brain turning. Did you make your daughter become a lawyer?
No, not by word. She made a selection because of, I think, because of what she saw. I think she made a selection because I have her older sisters in healthcare. But I will tell you this, the fact that I have been fortunate and blessed to have one of my children in the same field, and actually during the time when they become a partner in my business, is the greatest satisfaction I've ever had. And
why?
Because it gives me a chance to give something while I still have it to give.
Was that important in your household growing up?
No, I don't. You know, we are given gifts. We are given gifts. In my house, I was the only one in my household that ever even went to college. I was raised by a grandmother that dropped out of school in the 3rd grade to raise 6 kids that weren't even hers.
Were you a good kid?
I think this show is over.
I just want to know, did she send you out back to go get some switches?
Oh, no, she pulled up a tree. It wasn't no more trees around my house. My grandmother used them all. Okay.
Brittany, back in the day, they would call that child abuse, Brittany.
I know. I tried to tell that to my mother one time. She said, "You've never experienced what I experienced growing up. So just say you're privileged."
That's funny.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah, enjoy the holiday, everybody.
Good deal. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Bob. Marsha Jews, any thoughts? Don't want to keep people. And thank you all. Let me tell you, this has been a really wonderful year. Mark, I was telling, you know, we've been coming to New York for 10 years. Marsha dragged me there, ran 2011 to the United Nations, and she made me promise her that we were going to come back and do some awards there. But you've been there throughout this whole decade. It's been 10 years, Mark, that we've been hanging out.
It's wonderful.
I know. It's been a long trip, you know, been a long journey.
It's wonderful.
And how old's your daughter now?
Yeah, she's 11. So yeah.
Wow.
Wow,
you know, Tasmere, we get to, you know, watch each other's kids grow up.
It's a beautiful thing. I think, to me, that's what the village is. I'm hoping that Elijah never thinks about being anything other than an entrepreneur. But if he decides to go into a profession, I want him to own it. So whatever he does, I want him to understand that he can own what he's doing and have that thought process baked into him.
Okay, I want to go around the horn. Who has been a customer worth celebrating? One of your customers, Tasmia, who you want to acknowledge? Just one.
Just one? I would say off the top of my head, I would acknowledge Ultranice McKinsley, one of the co-owners of T-Dippity, because she is so tenacious about what she wants to do, and in addition to that, she listens. She knows that she doesn't know everything, and she knows that other people can take her to where she wants to go. And she doesn't fight against that. She takes directions really well. She asks a lot of questions, and she works really hard.
And one other thing, can you tell us about, and Brittany, I want you to hear this, Marcia, tell them about the pitch competition.
So the brunch pitch is something that I do with my co-founder, Emma, and it's an all-Black pitch competition where we really look for grassroots entrepreneurs to come and pitch their businesses to our panel of Black judges. And so we have been doing that. We did 3. This just started in June. We had our finale in November. And a lot of our entrepreneurs made really great connections, even if they didn't win, to help them just continue on their entrepreneurial journey and really understand what it means to be an entrepreneur and elevate into being a founder. Because I think that the language that we use is necessary.
Some of these pitch competitions.
Some of these pitch competitions are coming up in 2022. And we are going to be changing up a little bit of what we're doing because the value that we've added to the entrepreneurial space has changed dramatically from when we first started. So the last one that we had, our judges were all notable people that actually ate a Black-centric brunch. I mean, we've called in a Black food historian and a Black chef to make a Black-centric brunch to rate us back into American cuisine. And our judges sat and ate with everyone for about 2 hours. And so we are excited about what we're going to be doing in the upcoming year.
And some of those pitch competitions make a lot of money.
Some money. Yeah. You can make money. I mean, people have deals on the table, not to brag or anything. One of our entrepreneurs that didn't even win has a potential deal on the table with a really large food distributor for licensing. I mean, and she's like someone that makes things out of her home, right? So it's really a lot of potential there.
That's great.
Good. Brittany, you want to touch that? And your sister has a business that ultimately will distribute beverages too. So come on in, Brittany.
Yes. She plans, Punchy Lee, she plans and projects that she has cocktail beverages that she creates, signature cocktail line, and she plans to have them at local lounges and a potential vending machine. Instead of just selling it door to door with people, she actually plans to set up an actual shop at various businesses. But myself, that's great to work on pitching, because just like I was going to bug you, Donnie, about learning how to pitch my business, I am the executive producer of TTO Cypher, which is a platform based on lyrical artists, bringing them together under one room so they can spit it out amongst each other. But not only will they be networking with each other, they're in a room of local business leaders, Black-owned businesses, musical producers, DJs, things of that nature. And I plan to have it go outside of Baltimore City and transfer to other cities, because hip hop goes all across the United States, even across the world. But for right now, I'm just trying to gain access to as many resources that I can for some of these artists, because I've been in contact with a lot of lyrical artists thus far that need the exposure to be seen and heard. So
You want those two New Yorkers number.
Yeah.
Come on,
yeah,
Mark.
New York is
Yeah,
next.
I do.
New
I
York
do
is
have to
next. I
interject
want to
here.
go to New York bad.
Okay,
One of my
you gotta come through.
I
You gotta
love
come through. Gotta come
one of my
through.
favorite rappers is Biggie Smalls, and he did ciphers a lot on Fulton Avenue. So I plan to have an actual cipher, my own cipher on Fulton Avenue, but I need New York connections. So yes, we will be in touch.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, that's what's up.
Great.
Marsha, I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule. I know you were supposed to be at the beauty salon this morning, but we thank you for canceling that appointment and putting your
He,
personal.
don't even listen to him. I ain't even left my house in 2 years. Don't even try it. Don't know COVID to go no hair salon. I don't
Marsha is
think
the
so.
hostage in Mexico.
I'm not playing with these people. I don't trust none of it. I
Are
can
you
be still.
vaccinated?
No.
You're not? What is your,
No,
may I ask why?
because I don't want to. I don't trust it. They made it up too quick. And
I feel the same way, but
yeah,
I'm
and
judged because of my age.
well, I think that it's a life kind of thing. It's your life, and you have to make the decision for your life.
Right.
And my
She
daughter and
got
my
booby
grandson.
traps at her house on East Landville that when the delivery man come, this net falls down and the delivery man is captured, and then she dumps out a big balloon of Lysol.
It don't make no sense. And how serious she's serious. Like her face is just this even keel. Like, yes, this is true.
She
I'm not
paid
playing.
a dude to tackle the delivery man because he ain't had no mask on. She paid him.
Y'all can laugh all you want to, but I'm still standing.
Absolutely.
I'll be 70 come March.
Have you
and
seen the
I'm not
sun
playing.
at all this
I'm not
year?
playing.
Have you seen the sun at all this year?
Yeah, I see the sun. It comes into my windows.
No,
Now
we
you
go
a natural remedy.
No, we go outside. We go outside in the car and in spaces where, like parks, when there are no people in odd times.
Do the Caucasian panhandlers come up to your car?
No. They probably just look at my face and turn away because my face tells it all.
Mark, there's a big in Baltimore. There's the squeegee kids are in the news every day. But what's not in the news are the white panhandlers who come up to your car, and black people are giving them dollars, not change, dollars. Yeah, they go past the black panhandler to the white panhandler. The white panhandlers even took over a corner from the Nation. The brothers don't even sell the bean pies on that corner no more.
Wow.
I find that really intriguing when I see that. When I lived in Florida for 8 years. I knew for a fact there were white panhandlers that were actually middle class white citizens that knew how to get the dollar from anybody if they were to beg
Tax
or
free.
make themselves seem exactly. And I think it's a shame that you're right that you do see dollars and this black homeless people that are out here and they will get a drive past, the window rolled up, but shoot, go away. It's terrible. I see it all the time.
We got to get back to self-love and taking care. Charity starts at home, folks, and that's what we wanted to talk about today. It starts at home.
Yes, and support Black businesses all year. We don't need just a week. We need it all the time, 24/7.
Thank you,
Period.
everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.
Righty.
Have happy holiday.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thanks, Donnie.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.